tell me about some of the external struggles that you found at the very start of your journey. And I just want to kind of back into this, because so I'm going to leave it up to you to tell me, where exactly did you feel you had these external struggles coming up against you? And tell us a little bit about how you overcame them.
So I am a woman of a certain age, so I'm not a kid. And I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. Went to a public school, but I did go to a gifted and talented school called University High School. So in that, I went to school with the politicians' kids, some people who are now, famous musicians, a bunch of authors now. But in that, we celebrated Black excellence, although we were known to be in a not good school system. Right. So what happens is, when you're in an environment where everyone looks like you, everyone celebrates who you are, you do become isolated to that external noise that would tell you you're not good enough. It wasn't until I went to college, which was the opposite environment, where when I went to school in Massachusetts, and my school when I went was less than 2% Black.
Okay.
So I went into an environment where there were no Greek sororities or fraternities that were Black. And if we wanted to fellowship with Black people, we went to Harvard and MIT to find people to fellowship with, because there were so few of us on campus.
Okay.
So now you walk into an environment where people are telling you the things that you missed because that wasn't your media circle. That wasn't the newspapers you were reading. And that's not what you were telling each other within your cohorts in your school. So now I am being told that I'm less than, or I need to reconsider certain things. And then I am around people who were not raised in the same system that I was. So they're telling themselves that they have self-doubt. They're telling themselves like, oh no, you can't do that. You can't say that. I'm like, yes, I can. Why can't I? So that was the first time I started to get the struggle of what the mainstream world was and where I had grown up was very different. And it wasn't until I got older that I learned that it was a blessing to be with people who looked like me, who was the neighborhood where, if you didn't do, the neighbor would tell your mother. It was literally, it was a village to raise, it took a village to raise a child, to the point that I've gone through some not very beneficial racial experiences when I was at school, to the point I was going to leave. I was like, okay, I'm out of here. I can't do this. And I had a professor who said to me in the gym, I said, I think I'm going to leave. I think I'm going to go and I'm going to transfer to a school in New Jersey. And this was a white Jewish man. And he said to me, well, that'll be a shame, because if you leave, then they win. Wow. And I said, what do you mean? He said, what you need to understand is, when people are afraid to hear you, when people are afraid to hear you speak, you need to speak up. And when people are afraid to see you, you need to show up everywhere that they are, and you need to do it with excellence. So I said, okay, never thought about it that way.
Yeah, who could argue with that?
Right. Never thought about it that way. I then come home and I tell my neighbor, not regular education. No, most people will say she's one of the hood people. God raised her soul now. When I said I'm leaving, and she said, no, you're not. You're in school for free. You have a full scholarship because you're smart. And you must be more afraid of them than you are of me. Because if you come home and you give up the opportunity you have, you're going to have to deal with me. I was like, okay, I got it. And I stayed in school and I went through with, you know what? Every time there was a bad situation, I had to turn it around, because I now have two people from two different sides of the spectrum telling me that's the right thing to do. Wow. Like, you will not let them win. They will not beat you. What they don't like about you is the fact that they cannot be you. So understand, if you didn't matter, they wouldn't even give you the time of day.
It's I feel like the pilot light has already been lit and the gas is starting to turn up a little bit.